on to our surprise topic for tonight. Some of you might be aware that I've started a mini series on why people are calling Doom the Dark Ages woke, or why they're calling the accessibility sliders in it woke at the very least. By the end of that mini series, hopefully you'll have a full grasp of why people weren't simply jumping to conclusions and where all of this shit came from and why we're seeing it even now. But if that wasn't proof enough, Doom the Dark Ages ended up on caniplaythat.com, where based on the previous article, they are extremely fucking woke, even to the point of having alphabet flag colors on their website, as if that wasn't enough of an indicator. But anyway, after hating on Doom Eternal, as many journalists did, Doom the Dark Ages expands series accessibility through design and customization. Share on Blue Sky. A Doom for all slayers.
Blue Sky. Oh, Jesus.
Accessible combat by design. More details about Doom the Dark Ages were revealed yesterday during the Xbox Developer Direct, including some first details of its accessibility. This latest foray in the Doom franchise of id Software is a prequel to Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Through the gameplay and combat design itself and customizable difficulty, it takes accessibility another step beyond Doom Eternal and Doom 1+2. Like, not even cheat codes are enough for these people. That's what's crazy. You can literally get infinite ammo, infinite power-ups, whatever. A Doom for all slayers. For the first time in an id Software game, Doom the Dark Ages will feature detailed difficulty adjustments. This not only helps tailor the gameplay to people's experience, welcoming new players, but also has huge accessibility potential. Aside from a global choice in difficulty, there are sliders for at least 8 different modifiers. These can be adjusted up and down, making it possible to increase or decrease the challenge posed to players. This increase part, some bullshit. They're using that as another shield for what accessibility actually fucking means. You see it on Twitter already. You know you can make the game harder too, right? So you mean I can make the game unplayable to the point where a human being shouldn't even be able to complete it? This is another discussion anyway, because it's lazy as fuck game design. Why should I have to tailor the difficulty myself? Like, that's literally the point of a dev making the game a certain way, because there's the such thing as an intended experience for a player, and that's another key component of gaming culture that they're trying to remove, the intended developer experience. So yeah, this id Software, they're dead. They've abolished the social contract between developer and gamer. It's fucking gone. Developers pose a challenge, players rise to it. They're trying to erode that relationship. That's what the accessibility slider is. Essentially, balance the game yourself. Who the fuck wants that?
I thought that's what the difficulty meter was for.
It's just more options. What's the problem? Damage to player, damage to demons, enemy projectile speed, enemy aggression, parry window, days duration, game speed, resource values. Aside from damage to player, damage to demons, and enemy aggression, there's also resource values. These all can help to make the game less punishing overall for a more approachable experience. Similarly, lowering days duration can make these vulnerable moments less... You know what's crazy? You know what's really fucking crazy? Motherfuckers will sit up here and say, you can make the game harder too. It goes up too. And this entire fucking article is about how easy you can make the fucking game. How approachable we can make the experience.
Yeah, they don't say anything about trying to make it harder.
They're not gonna praise any amount of making the game harder or more challenging, because that's not what the fuck this shit was ever about. It's not what it was ever about. The entire article is gonna be about how much easier you can make the game. That's it.
But gamers like it if there were ways you could customize, like...
It depends on what the game is known for. And like I said, this shit is targeted. They are specifically trying to push this shit into games that are known for being challenging. The next hard game that comes out, I guarantee they're gonna bitch about the difficulty and say you need difficulty sliders. I guarantee it. I don't think Night Rain is gonna get any good reviews from these fucking journos. I don't think it is. They already shit on the last DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I'm honestly wondering, was there ever a time when game journalists actually did anything to contribute to gaming?
Of course there was. Game Informer, a long-standing publication that was alive for 30 years, got murdered behind this stupid shit. They're gone. They're not even the only fucking gaming magazine. Xbox magazine, PlayStation magazine. But there are a few of them. There were plenty of games journalist publications that were of the culture, that gave a fuck about gaming. Not anymore. They're directly opposed to their customer base.
You unlock unlocked a core. You just unlocked a core memory of mine, man. I used to have Game Informer magazines in the mail.
Old Game Informer. I still have my old Game Informer magazines, bro. That's how deep this shit is.
I wish I kept mine. Looking back on it now, I wish I kept mine.
Then there are 3 settings that can be a huge help for players who simply need more time to react in game events. Lowering enemy projectile speed and increasing the parry window both give players more time to react to incoming attacks. A game speed slider takes this further and lets players slow down or speed up. See how they keep having to put this shit in parentheses? We know that you don't give a fuck about speeding the game up. You can drop the act. You don't give a shit about speeding the game up. You don't give a shit about increasing the amount of damage an enemy does. You do not give a fuck about that. You don't care. It's bullshit. The game as they see fit. Accessible combat design. A signature new tool in the Slayer's arsenal is the shield saw. Not only does this serve multiple functions, it does so with only a single input. So one input can do multiple different things. Let's see how ridiculous that gets when the game comes out. Let's see how ridiculous that gets. We'll see. Depending on the context.
Wait, are they actually doing that?
Yeah, the shield saw.
One button to do 3 different actions, like in the middle of combat? Is that what that means? Like press triangle to block and press triangle to buzzsaw, press triangle to...
Yeah, that one button does multiple different things. So throwing the shield, parrying with the shield. Yeah, all of that shit.
That's gonna suck.
The shield. And then Rudy asked, how the fuck can they look at easy mode in 90% of video games and think that should be easier? I don't know. I literally explained earlier, like, easy mode was literally made for small children. Not an exaggeration. A lot of games would even depict small children, baby paraphernalia, or literal crying babies next to the difficulty setting for easy. I'm not bullshitting.
And don't tell me Doom is cooked.
Accessible combat by design. A signature new tool in the Slayer's arsenal is the shield saw. Not only does this serve multiple functions, it does so with only a single input. Depending on the context, this single button press lets you block, parry, or deflect attacks, or throw it Captain America style. Okay, that doesn't sound that bad, actually. No, that doesn't sound that bad.
But under one button?
Nah.
Under one button? No, that's
no. I can see how it could work. You could hold the button to block. You could double tap it to parry. Deflecting attacks and parry is the same thing. I don't know why they counted it as 2 actions. You could hold the button to block, double tap to parry, and do the button plus some other shit to throw it. I see it. Even though
okay, so Doom is not cooked.
I mean, I don't think this mechanic is indicative of it being cooked, not by itself at least. But if you look at the other things, like a more tanky gameplay means players can rely less on quick movements with a lot of jumping, which, by the way, during the direct when they showcased the game, they said in Doom Eternal you are a fighter jet, in Doom the Dark Ages you're a tank. Not slow, tanky, strong, but still fast. That's what he said, and that shit is contradictory. And right here in this article they said it's slower paced and players can rely on less quick movements and they can rely less on jumping too. So that shit's contradictory. Like, literally, we're coming off the back. People liked Doom Eternal's playstyle and what it was setting up, and now they're pulling a 180, and now you can hide behind the shield and be slower and probably eat more damage and shit like that. I don't know how the fuck that's going to play out. That doesn't sound like something I want from a Doom experience, not gonna lie. That doesn't even sound like something the old games would do. You weren't able to block in the old games.
This does not inspire confidence because I was playing Doom Eternal and I loved it because I could go fast. Spider-Man being I love to web zip. I like to go fast. I play Sonic a lot and I like going fast. I gotta go fast, man. Why do we gotta slow me down?
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't like Eternal's playstyle because they felt like it was a puzzle game with guns because you had to switch to certain guns to deal with certain enemies. I didn't mind that aspect of the play. I think it added layers to the combat system, but I guess people felt like that shit was lame or whatever. I just think that's some contrarian shit and they need to get good, personally.
I'm neutral towards that. I didn't mind it.
Me either.
With or without it, I'm fine with it.
Like, I get it because in older Doom games you didn't have to switch to certain guns to deal with certain enemies, like how you have to switch to the plasma cannon to destroy light shields or whatever they're called in Doom Eternal. I get it, but I'm not mad at that because they were clearly trying something different with the combat system and they were trying to actively enhance the player experience and not take away from it. You can not like something and still see the value in it. The people that I've seen that don't like that shit don't see any redeeming qualities with them trying to enrich the combat system in that way, and I just don't agree. I see the appeal of both ways. Just being able to shoot any demon with any gun and having to use certain weaknesses of the enemies. Stand and fight is the new meta meta for the Dark Ages. This comes with 3 melee weapons that, like the shield, only rely on a single input. And of course, there are still guns to fight off Hell's hordes from a distance. This approach to the gameplay makes Doom the Dark Ages much more accessible by design. How is a melee weapon more accessible than a gun? Whatever.
What?
Having 3 melee weapons that all have 3 different functions between one button make the game accessible for some reason, even though with a gun, I only have to make 1 button press, and that's the fucking trigger. Maybe a second button for switching between alternate fire modes or whatever, but how the fuck is the melee weapon more accessible than a gun?
Like, yeah, this don't make sense to me. I mean, there was never really an issue with access to the guns or the melee weapon. I mean, I'm talking about Doom Eternal, where it just had the chainsaw and the power punching.
Yeah, blood punch. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to say. Maybe we'll figure it out when the game drops. This comment doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Minimizing the need for fast movement and limiting inputs is helpful for many players, especially those with limited mobility. We have a bit of time until the release. I don't know what that means, bro. I have no idea. I don't know.
How does that make any sense? If anything, if being able to get faster is probably more beneficial for new players because maybe they're the type that likes to retreat.
You still have to learn how to be efficient with the movement system in Doom Eternal. The air dash, the double jump, all of that shit. You still needed to be good at platforming,
yeah, I know.
Which was another layer that was added to the game. People don't like layers. They don't like getting good at something. They want shit handed to them. That's why there's probably no jump button in the next Doom game. Probably don't exist.
No jump button?
Probably. I don't know.
Some
for
bullshit.
Sure. People think it's ridiculous to expect the next game to carry on mechanics from the previous game because, oh, there was no jumping in the old Doom games. Okay, well, motherfucker, that was the old Doom games. And we just came off the back of 2 new Doom games, that being 2016 and Doom Eternal. What do you mean? Why is it ridiculous that I would expect jumping to be in the next game if it was in the last one? Like, jumping is a core mechanic. What the fuck? We have a bit of time until the release on May 15th this year and expect to see more details of Doom the Dark Ages before then. Perhaps with an accessibility guide like Bethesda did for Doom plus Doom 2. We will keep an eye out for that, and I will be covering it as more news drops. So there you go, people. Things are not looking too good for the future of Doom the Dark Ages.
Fucking sad, man.